Hello everybody, my name is Dr. B. Khalilur Rahman, Associate Professor in Nallamala Reddy Engineering College, Department of EC. Uh, Today we are discussing the subject FPGA programming in a series of lectures. Today is our ninth lecture on the subject FPGA programming. We are discussing in the second unit the learning outcome 4. So far, I'll just recapitulate the things whatever we have covered in the second unit. In the second unit, we have started the UDM, that is the Universal Design Methodology, and UDM PD, Universal Design Methodology for Programmable Devices. We have seen in the LO1, Learning Outcome 1, Learning Outcome 2, and Learning Outcome 3. In all these learning outcomes, we discuss the design flow of UDM, Universal Design Methodology. How we can able to fabricate any IC. Those things we have checked universally, irrespective of the manufacturing company. Okay. Now, in this lecture, the learning outcome 4, we'll be discussing about the hardware description languages. Okay. I'll just share my screen. Uh, this is the learning outcome 4 we are discussing on the subject FPGA program. So the hardware description languages. Language, if I talk about a language means that to communicate the two persons, we require a language. If I talk about a programming language, it it describes that we have to write a program, and that program should have a syntax. To be perfect in any language, we should have a grammar. In a similar way, to be perfect in any programming language, you should be strong enough with the syntax. Syntax is nothing but the grammar. In general, if I talk about a language, we require a grammar to communicate to other persons. In the similar way, the programming language requires a syntax to communicate with the computer and associated devices. If at all from the computer, if you have connected any hardware devices, for communicating that hardware devices, we should have a programming language. Now, this programming language is a unique feature, hardware description languages. It describes about the hardware. Whatever the hardware we have connected in a programmable, we all are discussing the subject FPGA programming. So if you connect any hardware, that can be a CPLD, that can be a FPGA, we require a hardware description language to describe about that hardware. So we have two powerful hardware description languages. One is a VHDL. VHDL is one programming language, very high speed integrated circuit hardware description language. The term VHDL stands for very high speed integrated circuit hardware description languages. This is the VHDL. Okay. Apart from this VHDL, we have one more programming language called as a Verilog. Verilog. This is also one of the programming hardware description languages. The two hardware description languages we have is VHDL and as well as a Verilog. So we will discuss in detail with respect to the VHDL. Both are the popular hardware description languages. I'll just differentiate between these two programming languages in the next lecture. Now we will continue our discussion with respect to the VHDL. VHDL stands for hardware description languages. This VH, very high speed integrated circuit, hardware, very high speed integrated circuit, VHSIC, very high speed integrated circuit. This V is again elaborated as V. This V is VHISC, very high speed integrated circuit. Very high speed integrated circuit. So we will discuss about the VHDL. VHDL was first used in the year 1981 in the US Defense Academy. Before that VHDL, we don't have that FPGAs. Even the FPGA Xilinx has fabricated in the year 1984. Okay. If I talk about the semiconductor devices, we have the very basic IC. If I talk about a semiconductor history, before that semiconductor history, we have the vacuum tubes. Then we have a semiconducting materials. So we have diodes, transistors, 1970s, 1980s. As the technology is increasing, we are having a miniaturized devices. Okay. So this we are having the first VHDL in the year 1981. 1981, the US Defense Academy has used this programming language. Okay. Now Xilinx, as you know, that the very first FPGA is in the year 1984. The VHDL has a digital circuit design, the simulation, and as well as the synthesis. Okay. Now let's discuss the brief history of the VHDL. So in the 1981, as I discussed, the US has initially started this hardware description languages. Then after 2 years, IBM and Texas Instruments, they have acquired that programming languages. They have given additional features to that. Then in the year 1986, it has been transferred to IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Then in the year 1987, we can say that VHDL was popular with 1987. So IEEE has taken the rights of VHDL in the year 1987. Then we have in the 1994, it has been revised with the name VHDL 1076 1993. Then the year 2000, some additional features are incorporated in the VHDL. The name is 1076 2000. Again in the year 2002, as the year is increasing, more number of data types, more number of operators, more advanced features are being incorporated in the programming languages. So now we are using this one, VHDL 1076 2008. This is the programming language we have used. This is just the history of the VHDL. By for every 3-4 years, it has been, that for every two to 3 years, more number of data types, more number of functions are being incorporated in this VHDL. So coming to the VHDL code structure, we have basically 3 VHDL code structures. First one is the library declarations. Like in a programming languages, you all are aware of a C programming language, C++ programming language. In all these programming languages, we will be having the libraries. If I talk about a C programming language, hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. These are all the standard libraries. Okay, for writing printf, that library should be incorporated for writing printf and scanf. Similarly, for this VHDL programming also, we have the library declarations. We are having IEEE.work underscore std. These are the standard libraries. So these are the beginning of any programming languages. To start any programming language, we should have these libraries. Then we have the next step, entity. Entity describes about the input and output ports of the circuit. For example, if you have a 2-input NAND gate, A and B are my inputs. I am just drawing the NAND gate. This is the symbol of a NAND gate. NAND gate, why I am choosing NAND gate? Because it is a universal gate. Any logic gate can be implemented. A and B are my inputs. For example, Y is my output. What are the inputs? A and B, two are the inputs. What is the output? Y is output. You will, in the entity, you will describe about the inputs and output ports. A and B are my inputs and Y is my output. That is what we will declare in the entity. Architecture. In the architecture, we will write the syntax. We will write the logic in the architecture. Describes how the circuit should behave. Architecture means how the circuit should behave. If you are having a decoder, if you are having a multiplexer, main logic we will write it in the architecture. We'll declare inputs and outputs in the entity. Before that entity, we are having a standard library functions. Okay. Now let's discuss about this library declarations, entity, and architecture, and we will see one example. These are about the library declarations. In the library declarations, library underscore name. So whenever these comments are there, 2 hyphens are there, means that is the comment. In a MATLAB, we will use a percentage symbol to comment. So the compiler will not execute this command. It will move to the next command. Whenever we are putting this is used for commenting. This type is used for commenting. Okay. Now this IEEE.std underscore logic dot IEEE.std underscore logic underscore 1164. This is from the IEEE library. We have to incorporate this library. Standard, the standard library. Work, the work library. So these all are the things we will discussing. So these two are the basic libraries. Okay, library IEEE, the standard libraries. Then use IEEE.std underscore logic underscore 1164 all. All means all the libraries will be incorporated. Okay, these are the simple libraries. For any programming, you have to include these two. If these two libraries are not there, means your program will not work. Whether you can take a Xilinx, or you can take a Model Sim, or you can take a Active HDL, or you can take a Questa Sim. You can take any of the platform, any of the tool if you choose. If you are not incorporating these two lines, then your VHDL will not work. Okay. Now let us see the syntax of the entity. Entity, name of the entity. For example, entity I am using NAND gate. First 2 libraries, these 2 libraries should be there. Then entity, you have to give a name. Entity work is, or else entity your name, you can give any of the name. Entity NAND gate is, whatever the name you can give. Entity, then entity name is port. You have to give the port name. Port underscore name colon signal underscore mode, the signal type. This is the syntax. This is the syntax we have to follow. Then ports and entity name, whatever the name you have given here. For example, you are giving X. Entity X is port, everything is finished, then entity X. Every statement should end with a semicolon. As we discussed the NAND gate, I am using entity. NAND underscore gate is port name. We have to declare in the entity part. I already told you that entity should describe about the input and output ports of the circuit. Input and output ports. So input, A is an input, B is an input, X is the output. STD underscore logic. Signal type. If it is a single bit, you have to use signal underscore logic. if it is a multi-bit, what you have to use? See, you have to use like this, signal under 8 levels. It will follow the 8 levels. Those things we will discuss in detail. Okay. If it is a multi-bit, they have to use the another name. Just 1 second. Sorry for the interruption. Yes. Yeah, entity, if it is a single bit, std underscore logic. If it is a multi-bit, we will use a vector here. A, B are input, X is the output. Okay, end. Next is the architecture. Architecture behavioral of the entity name is, then we have to write, this is the syntax, and this is what we have to write. Architectural behavioral of entity name, we have used NAND gate. The entity name is begin, we have to write the code here. We have to write code here. These things, whatever the tool you are using, for example, if you are using a Xilinx, Xilinx by default will write all the things. You no need to write all these things. These things will write, these things will write. Only you have to write the logic. X assignment operator. This is the assignment operator. A is input, B is input. X assignment operator, A NAND B. Okay. This is the output functionality. Now we will just see an example. These two, the standard libraries, then entity name is port, A is a single bit, B is a single bit, okay, Y is the output, and architectural behavioral of NAND is begin, this one. This is the syntax of a NAND gate. This is the logic you are writing. The Xilinx by default will write all these things. No need to memorize these libraries. The Xilinx will write these memories. No need to memorize this one. The Xilinx will give only how to assign the inputs and outputs. A is my input, B is my input, Y is my output. This you have to assign. This also the Xilinx will give. After the begin, before the end, you have to write your logic. Okay. So I hope you have enjoyed the learning outcome 4 of the second unit in the FPGA programming. In the next lecture, we will discuss in detail about the VHDL data types, and then we will discuss the remaining things, the VHDL attributes, the VHDL operators. Those things we will be discussing in the next lecture. That will be the last learning outcome of your unit 2. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.